Kelly Clarkson just stepped back from her own show. Not permanently, just for a week. Pink is filling in, guest hosting while Kelly takes what everyone's calling a short break. On the surface, it's simple, normal even. Hosts take breaks all the time. But longtime viewers immediately felt something different about this one. Because the timing isn't random. The Kelly Clarkson show is already confirmed to be ending after season 7. And when a host steps away during the final stretch, when she hands her chair to another powerhouse woman right before everything closes, it doesn't just feel like a vacation. It feels like a rehearsal. Like Kelly trying on what goodbye might look like before she actually has to say it. Okay, but before we get into why this moment carries more weight than NBC wants to admit, you gotta understand what this show has meant to Kelly. Not just professionally, personally. Because the Kelly Clarkson show wasn't just another daytime gig. It was survival. In 2020, Kelly's marriage to Brandon Blackstock was falling apart in ways she couldn't hide anymore. The kind of falling apart that happens slowly and then all at once. 7 years together. 2 kids. A life built on what looked like solid ground until suddenly the ground wasn't solid anymore. She filed for divorce in June. And while her personal life was imploding, she had to show up every single day and be Kelly Clarkson. The Kelly everyone expected. Funny, warm, present, smiling through pain that would have broken most people. The show became her anchor, the one place where she could control something when everything else felt chaotic. She poured everything into it. Kellyoke segments where she sang her feelings instead of talking about them. Interviews where she asked guests real questions, because avoiding her own reality meant diving deep into someone else's. Emotional transparency that felt brave because it was the only way she knew how to survive publicly. And it worked. The show exploded. Ratings climbed. Awards followed. Kelly won 4 daytime Emmys in a row. Not because she was performing happiness, because she was performing honesty. Processing her divorce in real time while millions of people watched and related and felt less alone in their own struggles. That's what made this show different from every other daytime talk show. Kelly wasn't pretending. She was surviving out loud. And viewers could feel the difference. Blake Shelton saw this transformation up close. He'd known Kelly since The Voice, knew the loud version, the chaotic energy that matched his perfectly, the woman who could joke her way through anything and make you believe she was fine even when she wasn't. But the Kelly who emerged through the divorce? Different. Quieter in some ways. More intentional. She stopped matching other people's energy and started setting her own. The talk show gave her permission to do that. To be soft when she needed to be soft. To cry when tears came naturally. To admit she didn't have all the answers instead of performing like she did. Blake respected that evolution even if he didn't fully understand it. His instinct has always been to deflect pain with humor. Keep moving. Keep joking. Never let anyone see you sweat. Kelly used to operate the same way. Now she was doing the opposite. Letting people see everything. The sweat. The tears, the messy middle of rebuilding. And fans loved her more for it. But here's what nobody talks about. That kind of vulnerability is exhausting. Healing in public view means you never get to just be broken. You have to be broken and inspirational. Struggling and strong. Falling apart and somehow still showing up every single day with a smile that's real enough to connect but controlled enough not to scare anyone. Kelly has been doing that for 5 years straight. 5 years of processing divorce. Relocating her entire life from Los Angeles to New York. Fighting legal battles with Brandon over money and custody. Rebuilding her sense of self while cameras captured every version of that rebuilding. The show is ending. Announced months ago. Season 7 will be the last. Kelly made the decision herself. Said she wants to focus on music, wants more time with her kids, wants to live a life that isn't quite so public. All of that makes sense. But making sense doesn't make it easy. Because this show saved her. Gave her purpose when her marriage ended. gave her identity beyond being someone's ex-wife, gave her a platform where she controlled the narrative instead of tabloids writing it for her. Walking away from that, even when it's the right choice, is complicated. And that's exactly why Pink stepping in for a week feels bigger than just guest hosting. Pink didn't quietly fill in. She surprised the studio audience. She's taking over KellyClarkson, the segment that's Kelly's signature. She's even bringing her daughter Willow for a duet. It's celebratory. It's fun. It's everything you'd expect from Pink. But it's also symbolic. Another powerful woman sitting in Kelly's chair, doing Kelly's thing, proving the show can exist without her even temporarily. And Kelly watching from wherever she is, seeing what her absence looks like, feeling what stepping back actually feels like before she has to do it permanently. This isn't drama. This is something softer. Preparation, maybe. Or rehearsal. Testing what goodbye might feel like in a controlled way before the real goodbye happens and there's no taking it back. Fans sensed it immediately. The comments weren't about Pink, they were about Kelly. Is she okay? This feels different. Why does this feel like more than a break? I hope she's not burned out. She deserves rest, but this timing feels loaded. Because it is loaded. Everything about this moment carries weight that casual viewers might miss, but longtime fans feel instinctively. Pink showing up wasn't random. These two women go back further than most people realize, not just as colleagues, as survivors of the same industry. The same pressures, the same impossible standards that female artists face when they refuse to be small. Pink debuted in 2000. Kelly won American Idol in 2002. They came up in the same era. Watched each other navigate record labels that wanted them thinner, quieter, more agreeable. Watched each other refuse. Pink wrote songs about fighting. Kelly wrote songs about leaving. Both of them built careers on being too loud, too honest, too much for an industry that preferred women who smiled and stayed in their lane.
I got a brand new attitude and I'm gonna wear it tonight. I wanna get
The mutual respect that comes from watching someone else survive what almost broke you. Pink has been open about her struggles with body image, with industry pressure, with the exhaustion of being a working mother in a world that expects perfection. Kelly has been equally open about her own battles. The weight scrutiny that followed her for years. The marriage that looked perfect until it wasn't. The constant performance of being okay when okay felt impossible. When Pink steps into Kelly's chair, she's not just guest hosting. She's standing in solidarity, saying without words that she sees what Kelly has carried, understands the weight of it, and is willing to hold space while Kelly catches her breath. That's different from a random celebrity filling in for ratings. That's friendship showing up when it matters most. But here's where it gets complicated. Because Pink isn't just a friend, she's also a mirror. A reflection of a path Kelly didn't take. See, Pink never did daytime television. Never committed to showing up every single day for 5 years straight. She tours. She records. She disappears when she needs to disappear. Her career has always had built-in breaks. Time to recover. Time to be a mom without cameras. Time to exist as a person instead of a product. Kelly chose differently. After American Idol, she could have done anything. Toured constantly like Pink. Taken years between albums. Protected her private life more carefully. Instead, she said yes to everything. The Voice. The talk show. The constant visibility that comes with being America's sweetheart. And that constant visibility has a cost. One that's becoming clearer as the show approaches its end. Miranda Lambert understood this balance better than most people gave her credit for. Her marriage to Blake existed in a spotlight she didn't always want. When it ended, she retreated. Took time away from interviews and public appearances. Let the noise die down before she came back on her own terms. Kelly didn't have that luxury. Her divorce happened while she was contractually obligated to be on television 5 days a week. No retreat, no quiet healing, just survival performed in real time for millions of viewers. Lainey Wilson talked about watching Kelly during those years. Said it was like watching someone hold up a building while pretending the building wasn't heavy. said Kelly made it look easier than it was, and that scared her a little. Because if Kelly could break under all that weight, what chance did anyone else have? But Kelly didn't break. She bent, adjusted, found ways to keep going that required more energy than anyone realized. And now the bending is almost over. The show is ending. The weight is finally being set down. Pink stepping in feels like permission. Like someone saying you can put this down now. Like a rehearsal for what life looks like when you're not holding everything up by yourself anymore. The KellyClarkson handoff is especially symbolic. That segment has been Kelly's signature since day one. The thing that set her show apart from every other daytime talk show. Every morning she'd stand up and sing something. Pop songs, country songs, rock songs. Whatever felt right. Processing emotions through music because that's what Kelly has always done. That's how she survives. Watching Pink take over KellyClarkson is watching Kelly's coping mechanism being held by someone else. Temporarily, safely, but still, someone else holding the thing that Kelly created to hold herself together. And bringing Willow into it adds another layer. Pink's daughter, 17 years old, already showing the kind of vocal power that suggests she inherited everything. Watching mother and daughter perform together on Kelly's stage is beautiful. But it's also generational. A reminder that time passes, that daughters grow up, that the women who fought for space in this industry are now watching their children step into that same space. Kelly's kids are younger. River is 10. Remy is 8. She's talked about wanting more time with them. About missing moments while she was busy being Kelly Clarkson for everyone else. About wanting to be present for the parts of their childhood that haven't happened yet. This break isn't just rest, it's testing. What does it feel like to not be on television for a week? What does it feel like to watch someone else do your job and realize the world keeps spinning? What does it feel like to imagine a life where you're just mom, just Kelly, just a person instead of a brand? Pink being the one to hold that space matters, because Pink figured out that balance years ago. Figured out how to be famous without being consumed by it. How to show up when it mattered and disappear when she needed to. Kelly is learning that now. At 42. After 22 years in the spotlight. Finally, giving herself permission to want something smaller. Something quieter. Something that doesn't require performing survival every single day. The studio audience didn't know Pink was coming. That's what made the moment land so hard. They showed up expecting Kelly. Got something else entirely. And the surprise wasn't just fun television. It was intentional. A choice to make Pink's arrival feel like an event instead of a substitution. Pink walked out, and the room erupted. Not polite applause, real shock, real joy. The kind of energy that happens when something genuine surprises people who've become numb to manufactured moments. But underneath that joy was something else. A question nobody asked out loud, but everyone felt. Where is Kelly?
Trouble, I wanna start a fight. Na 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 na.
Charging, doing what any human being would need to do after 5 years of daily television during the most difficult period of her life. Nothing dramatic, nothing concerning, just rest. But fans who've watched Kelly for 2 decades know she doesn't rest easily. This is a woman who released albums during her divorce, who showed up to tape episodes when she probably shouldn't have, who built an entire career on pushing through when pushing through seemed impossible. Kelly taking a break feels different because Kelly doesn't take breaks. She powers through. She jokes through. She sings through. She does everything except stop. So when she stops, even temporarily, people notice. Blake Shelton noticed too. Sources close to both of them say he reached out when the announcement happened. Not publicly, privately. The kind of check-in that old friends do when something feels off, even if they can't name exactly what. Their friendship has evolved since The Voice days. Less chaotic now, more grounded. Blake has his own version of stepping back happening. Less television. More ranch time. More Gwen and the kids and the life he built away from cameras. He understands what Kelly is going through in ways that casual observers might miss. The exhaustion of being on. The slow realization that fame takes more than it gives after a certain point. The pull towards something quieter that feels scary to admit because your whole identity got built on being loud. Kelly and Blake don't talk as often as they used to. Different lives now. Different coasts. Different priorities. But the understanding is still there. The recognition of someone else navigating the same impossible transition from public property back to private person.
Till I called you mine. Yeah, yeah.
Branda Lambert made this transition more gracefully than anyone expected. After the divorce from Blake, she slowly rebuilt her public image on her own terms. Less interviews. Fewer explanations, just music and touring and a new marriage that she protected more carefully than the last one. Kelly watched that. Learned from it maybe. Saw that it was possible to be famous and still have boundaries. To be loved by millions and still keep something sacred for yourself. The talk show made boundaries almost impossible. 5 days a week means 5 days of sharing. 5 days of being accessible. 5 days of processing life publicly because private processing doesn't make good television. Now that's ending. And Pink stepping in for a week is like a preview. A glimpse of what Kelly's absence looks like. How the machine keeps running. How life continues without her constant presence. That's not sad. That's liberating. Realizing you're not as essential as you thought. Realizing the world doesn't collapse when you step away. Realizing you can be loved and missed and still gone. Kelly needed to feel that. Needed to see that. Needed permission to imagine a life where she's not holding everything together all the time. Pink gave her that permission. Not with words. With presence. By showing up and being excellent and proving that the chair can hold someone else for a while. The real question isn't whether Pink can host. She obviously can. The woman has been commanding stages for 25 years. She knows how to fill a room. Knows how to connect with an audience. Knows how to be present without being overwhelming. The real question is what Kelly is feeling right now, watching from wherever she is. Seeing her show continue without her. Seeing Kellyoke happen with someone else's voice. Seeing the chair she sat in for 5 years, holding someone else just fine.
Used to be so strong.
That's a strange kind of freedom. The realization that you built something strong enough to exist beyond you. That your presence isn't required for the thing to keep breathing. That stepping away doesn't mean everything falls apart. Some people find that terrifying. Their identity is so wrapped up in being needed that not being needed feels like disappearing. Kelly might be discovering the opposite. That not being needed is actually relief. That watching Pink handle everything with grace confirms what Kelly already suspected. She's allowed to leave. She's allowed to want something different. She's allowed to stop. Lainey Wilson talked about this once. About watching artists who never stop eventually stop being able to. The ones who tour until their bodies break. Record until their voices give out. Keep going because stopping feels like dying. Kelly has been going for 22 years straight. American Idol at 20. The Voice at 35. The Talk Show at 37. Constant output. Constant visibility. Constant performance of being okay even when okay required everything she had. Now she's 42. Kids who need her. A life waiting to be lived beyond cameras. A version of herself that exists outside of what audiences expect. This week with Pink isn't just a break. It's practice. Testing what it feels like to not be the center. To let someone else hold the attention. To exist without performing existence. The show ends after season 7. That's already decided. But how Kelly arrives at that ending matters. Whether she drags herself across the finish line exhausted. Or whether she walks toward it having already made peace with what comes next. Pink stepping in suggests Kelly is choosing peace. Choosing to practice goodbye before goodbye becomes mandatory. Choosing to see what absence feels like while she still has time to process it. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. The kind that comes from surviving enough to know what survival actually costs. Fans will miss her this week. Comments will ask where she is. Social media will wonder if she's okay. That's love. Real love from people who've watched her struggle and rebuild and become someone stronger than the girl who won American Idol 2 decades ago. But love also means letting go, when letting go is what someone needs. And Kelly might need this more than anyone realizes. A week of quiet. A week of not being on. A week of remembering who she is when she's not being Kelly Clarkson for everyone else. Pink holds the chair this week. Kellyoke continues. The show goes on. But somewhere Kelly is watching. And maybe for the first time in 5 years, she's not wishing she was there. Maybe she's grateful someone else is holding the weight. Even just for a week. Even just for practice. Because sometimes temporary feels like exactly what forever needs to look like. And Kelly is finally letting herself imagine it.